Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Light on Leeds. I can't believe that we've got to episode 10 already, and to celebrate this seminal moment, we've got Jack Hurley, the artist, to be our guest. Jack's conversation is a really great one to listen to. He talks about how he ended up in Leeds, about his brilliant collection of art, Rubbish Seaside, which you must check out. You can see Jack's work at loudribs.com and also in Fabrication, which has shops in Leeds, Albion Street and York, Coney Street. He's a great guest, and then at the end of that, stick around and have a listen because we've got some new music fresh onto the Leeds music scene. Have a listen. This is very exciting because it's our 10th episode of Light on Leeds, and we've got the lovely guest this week, Jack Hurley.
Hello. It's very exciting. I'm very excited.
I can tell by your face. Jack, can you tell us, how long have you lived in Leeds?
I have lived in Leeds for, I think, 16 years, yeah. I'm pretty sure it's 16 years.
Only 1 year longer than me.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
That's pretty good going.
That's not bad going.
And where did you begin life?
I began life in Portsmouth. I was there for 7 years, but we moved when my parents split up. So my dad stayed in Portsmouth. Me and my mum and my brother moved to Devon. So I was always sort of back and forth between Portsmouth and Devon, which is why I've got this really silly accent. But I did most of my growing up in a really, really small town called Teignmouth, which is sort of between Exeter and Torquay. And it's famous. It's famous for a guy who tried to sail around the world but didn't, and ended up like lying about it, and then went a bit mad at sea and carked it. There was two films about it recently. Muse, who were in the year above me at school.
No way.
Yeah. And then it turns out, I found out the other day that the year below me, there was a lass who I used to knock about with who's now a massive porn star.
No way.
Yeah. Nothing happened in my year.
Well, apart from you.
Apart from me. Nothing happened in my year. But yeah, a year above Muse, year below, massive porn star.
That is some alumni from that school.
I know, isn't it just?
So how did you end up in Leeds?
By accident, really.
Don't we all?
yeah, pretty much. I went to uni in Manchester, which was the best of times and it was the worst of times. Like I had some really great times in Manchester, and it was like coming from a tiny town in Devon to like Manchester was just like whoa. It was mega. It was absolutely mega. But Manchester was really Manchester at the time. It was quite gunny, quite stabby,
Right.
And yeah. Quite a lot of those sorts of things happened to me. So when I finished uni, I actually ended up with a massive compo claim for various like Manchester nastinesses that had
Just against the whole of the city of Manchester.
just against the whole of the city of Manchester. So I buggered off for a year. I buggered off to the Far East, and I worked in bars for a year in Thailand, which was also mega. That was quite funny. And then I came back and I had nowhere to stay, and I wasn't going to move back to Devon, and a mate of mine was looking for a flatmate in Leeds. And we'd always sort of said we were going to move to Leeds because we were really into the punk scene when we were in Manchester, and Leeds weirdly had a better punk scene than Manchester. We were always coming over here for gigs. We were always watching the bands from this side of the Pennine. So that's how I ended up in Leeds, and I haven't moved since.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And what did you study at university?
I studied psychology, which was probably a mistake, to be honest. It's the noble art of fence sitting.
Right.
At the end of the day. And everything you learn is kind of redundant about 5 years afterwards when they just decide that, you know what?
Things have moved on now.
All that stuff that we taught you, it's wrong.
Disregard it now.
Just disregard all of that.
So I know you because of your work, your Rubbish Seaside work, which is amazing art.
Thank you.
So how did the art come into things then?
Right, now that's a bit of a story. Basically, I was a mental health worker for about 16 years, and that was a really interesting job, but everyone's got a bit of a shelf life at it, because after a while it gets to you a little bit and
you get burnt out.
Yeah, and I was I'd done it at that point. I'd done it for about 10 years full time, and I'd had a few things on the side. I used to run a website called Questionable Time, which was basically a piss taker question time every week, and that had got weirdly big. It was running on the Independence website and everything, and they'd made like all sorts of rash promises about paid work and stuff. So I was like, all right, yeah, that sounds cool. Why not quit my job? So I did, and that never came about. And I was just sort of, I was absolutely buggered for a bit. I was like, I don't know what to do. But one of the things with Questionable Time was it taught me how to use Photoshop, because part of the thing was every week I would do really daft Photoshops about whoever was on the show. And just out of sort of desperation, I ended up just knocking together a few T-shirt designs and just badgering this guy who ran a company called Red Molotov. They advertised in the back of Private Eye. And I was like, take my designs. And a couple of them did really well. There's one of them that like pretty much saw me through that year.
Wow, that's amazing. And what were they just? They were sort of political.
Yeah. I mean, one that you might have seen about was just a big map of Yorkshire and a big map of Britain, and Yorkshire's coloured in, and it says right there, and the rest of Britain says wrong.
Oh, I have seen. I think I've even shared that meme. I didn't know. It was yours.
Right. So that was the one that kind of like that saved my bacon at the time. So I was doing that for a bit. I was sort of churning out T-shirts for them, and they used to get a lot of requests. And some guy had said, "Oh, I'd love a poster of Cleethorpes with The Last Resort on it." And they sent it my way because they knew that I lived by the sea. And I thought, yeah, I'll have a go at this. I'll have a crack. And I was really surprised that I managed to get away with that aesthetic. I didn't really think I'd be able to do that, but I did. I was like, oh right, there might be legs to this. So then I did Blackpool, which was Don't. Then I think it was Redcar after that. And it just started taking off from there. And I think when I got about 7 or 8 in, somehow it ended up on some website. I think it was something like, where was it? It was like Mashable or something. Right. And then it ended up in like the Metro and all this sort of stuff. And it all went a bit bananas.
Yeah, just snowballed.
Yeah, that's right. So I've just sort of, since then, I mean, like I did have to go back to doing mental health work part-time for a while. That ended quite ignominiously recently. Don't worry, I haven't killed anyone or anything. I haven't done anything awful.
Okay.
Just a change of contract. But yeah, it's sort of got to the point now where, I guess this is my job.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. It's kind of good.
You sound quite doubtful.
It's a bit weird because like people ask me like my mother in particular, I was like, what do you do? I'm like, I don't really know. I never know what to say. Like, I think it depends who I'm talking to. If I'm trying to impress you, I'm like, I'm an artiste.
Oh, right, of course,
but
yeah.
If not, I'm like, I don't know. I'm literally making this up as I go along.
Mm-hmm. And so is your Rubbish Seaside sort of your biggest collection at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's the one that, like, that consistently sells. And, like, if you have, like, one thing on its own, that might do well for a while. But if you've got a collection of them that's, like, sort of coherent, then...
And people can buy a set then as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's 3 for a £5, that's what I get, people.
That's exactly what I have.
Exactly, you see? You fell for the 3 for a £5, that's what I get you.
Yeah, just to make it clear, this wasn't set up for Jack coming here, but I've already bought his Leeds postcard and his Scarborough one. And for my friend Claire, a Manchester one. I knew she wouldn't be offended being from Salford as she is. There you go. She thought it was hilarious.
I'm doing a proper Manchester one at the moment.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, scores to sell.
Yeah.
Loads of scores.
And so, because they're obviously they're poking fun
at
the seasides, do you get negative reactions to that as well?
Never in person.
Not even in the shop? Or?
I think I've had a couple of people in the shop who've just been a bit funny with me.
Yeah.
Like generally, because I always thought, like when I did them, I always thought that I'm going to get my head kicked in, or I'm going to get a brick through my window doing this. But actually, when you like work in the shop, because you get to see people like looking at your stuff, like pretty much like 95% of people take it in the manner that's intended. Online's different. Online's totally different.
It's the same with everything.
Yeah, everyone's a bit braver online.
Yeah,
everyone likes a bit of a Barney. So yeah, we've had a few people. I get weird emails at 3 a.m. I had a bit of a thing as well with BBC Tees. Like the BBC's real buggers for this because they'll phone you up and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we love your work. We think it's really really funny. Like, do you want to go on BBC Tees breakfast show in the morning, like on the radio show?" Like, oh yeah, that'll be great. I went on it. It was really early. It was about 7:30. It was just a half-hour bollocking.
Really? just people ringing in to have a go at you?
Well, no, they'd done the world's worst vox pop. It was the Redcar poster. like Redcar dystopia on sea, and they've gone round Redcar, just going, other people going, is this the worst thing in the world? And it was basically, they interviewed like really old people and bagheads. it was just like
the cross section of the population.
Yeah, it was just sort of like, no, it's awful, he should be ashamed of himself. And then like, the guy who was actually running it was like, he was proper into it. Like the poster's got a beached whale on it, and he got really defensive. He was like, you do know that we've only ever had one beached whale here? Honestly, I
didn't count the whales.
I didn't. I'm not saying this happens every day. So there was that one. That one went a bit sideways, and then there was the Exmouth one. That was really funny because. Like, I know Exmouth really well. It's down in Devon. It's where my dad lives now. I spent a lot of time when I was growing up there. So I did one for there, and it was pretty good. I was really happy with it. And it got into the local press, which is always good. What you really want, like, if a post is going to do well, what you really need is for, like, a local Facebook group to get really outraged and sweaty about it. And that's, like, exactly what happened. Like, there was a lot of, like, how very dare he? Anyway, there was some woman down there who was an artist who like, she took massive umbrage with it, and she decided to make her own sort of version instead, which, like, in the nicest possible sense, it was crap. It was really bad. But so she got loads of press from that. You know, look at me making this lovely poster of Exmouth. So I reissued the poster, but I put her in it, painting the poster. That was kind of cool. We were like the Tupac and Biggie Smalls of shit seaside art. So,
it's just which one of you's going to be involved in the drive by.
I think I won. I'm going to call it. I won that one. Yeah.
I think that's great, putting her back in the picture.
Yeah.
Did she make any comment on that?
No, and I offered to send her one, but she never sent me her address. I was deeply disappointed about that.
Which one's your personal favourite?
My personal favourite, I do like the Leeds one because actually me and my wife are on it, getting married on that one in front of the town hall. So I do like that one. I do quite like the York one, just from a technical point of view, because it's good. Like, it took bloody ages, but it's good. I like the Hebden Bridge one because it's nice to poke fun at Hebden Bridge. I feel a bit guilty sometimes. Like, when you're always doing the seaside, you're always picking on the same people. Yeah. And sometimes it can feel a bit like punching down, and I'm quite conscious of that. Yeah. So it's nice to mix it up and punch up and punch sideways.
Put some posh places.
Yeah. Just basically windmill around randomly. Like, that's...
Make it a bit fairer.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what it should be about. Like, no one should be safe.
No, everybody should be scared.
Equal opportunities, dickhead.
For all.
Yeah. So I like those ones.
And if people wanted to buy them, where can they find them?
They can go to loudribs.com on the internet, or they can go to Fabrication. We've got one in Albion Street in Leeds, or one in Coney Street in York.
And how much time do you actually spend in the shops?
I do. Every Monday in Leeds and every other Friday in York.
And do you like getting to see the people who are buying your things?
I do. Yeah, it's dead good. Yeah. It's dead good. Yeah, and I love just like watching people and their reactions and whatnot. And if I'm feeling a bit brave, I will be like, I did that. I like that. But no, it's good.
One of the things that I love about your posters, and that I heard you talking about on Twitter the other day, was you were saying you were trying to make sure that you did less complicated sort of scenes with buildings and things, and you know, because if you just look at it at a glance as like a novice like I am, and then when I think about when you're talking about how much technicality goes into it, that sounds like a lot of work. Yeah,
it is, and like the way I work is really, really slow. See, I am the world's worst freehand drawer. Right. If that's the term. Yeah. Like, I can only work with a mouse. So I have to do everything like the really, really long way round. And like the thing is, because I've been doing a lot of seasides and stuff, there's a lot of like ornate Victorian architecture and stuff that takes forever. So like I was really pleased when I was doing the Manchester ones. I was like, right, we can do these good brutalist buildings, but turns out like they were designed by MC Escher or someone. Like they're absolutely mental. And the thing is like every time you do one, you get a bit better at it, and you think, right, well, if you're getting better, you must be getting quicker as well. But you're not. You're just finding more stuff. You're finding more stuff to obsess about, and that's the thing. There's so like in each one of those posters, there's so much stuff that's like covered up by someone that I will have spent hours doing. Like in that Leeds one, there's a lion behind like the woman on the left that I spent like a day doing.
And now you can't see it.
And you can't see it.
Oh.
But I'll still do it. I'll still be like, no, that I might have a need one day
for a big stone lion.
Like a big stone lion. It's never come to pass, but here we are. So.
And did you start? So really, I know you said you came from the website that you were doing, and you've been doing pictures on that. But had you never really dabbled in art before then?
No, not really. So I've done a lot of photoshopping for questionable time, but that was all sort of self-taught, and all of this is self-taught. And like that's the beauty of the internet these days.
It's amazing though that you've managed to teach yourself that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just YouTube and Googling. It's like when a lot of it's problem solving. You sit there and you're like, oh Christ, how do I do this? And it's like, right, someone else must have done it.
Yeah, definitely.
So you look, you try and figure out how they did it, and yeah, after a while, yeah, you get good at it. But I really like that aspect. I really like that aspect of just like constantly having to dig yourself out of like a corner you've just painted yourself into. it's really good.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's fantastic. Do you have other places that you're thinking of doing in your head?
Yeah, so we're definitely doing Manchester at the moment to settle scores. After that, I'm gonna say Brid.
Ooh.
I get asked all the time for Brid. I get asked all the time.
But by people who are from Bridlton who see them and just do us.
I find that the seaside ones are always either people who used to live there and have moved away, or people who've had holidays there.
Yeah.
Like when you see the orders go out, the only ones that actually go to the place where they're from are Leeds, Southsea and Portsmouth.
Really?
Yeah, like Southsea knows what it is, Portsmouth knows what it is. That's rough as houses, and it's all right with that. It's kind of weirdly proud of that. Brighton, that one always goes to Brighton. Brighton gets it. York goes to York. Hebden Bridge goes to Todmorden. Without fail.
That's so funny.
it
start like rubbing their hands.
Yeah, they love it in Todd.
That's so funny.
I can count on one hand the amount of orders I've actually had from Hebden for it. Yeah.
Just totally offended by it.
Yeah. It's a job well done, really. I'm quite pleased with how that's worked out.
You did a very good job there, yeah. So when you moved up here from living quite far down south, even when you went to Manchester, it must have felt like a big difference.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and as I say, it was brilliant because Teignmouth is a small town. The nearest place is Exeter, which is like 15 miles away. Exeter's like pretty tiny. It's 100,000 people, but that was like your night out.
Yeah.
Like last train was at 10:30, and if you missed the last train, you were either like trying to blag to sleep on someone's floor, or you were hitchhiking and walking home 15 miles. And like there was no real music scene to speak of, but I was like really, really into music. So like to go to Manchester, it was just like, this is amazing. Like everything's happening all at once, all the time. It's totally mind blowing, and yeah, I absolutely loved it, despite the various horrific things that went on in the background as well. But yeah, it was absolutely mind blowing, and I knew I couldn't really go home after that.
No,
I couldn't go back down south. So yeah, and it's music as to why I'm in Leeds. Really, that's why we all ended up here. All the friends I've got now, all my close friends, we all played in bands together, or we put on gigs together.
Yeah.
It's all that sort of same crowd. My wife I met through the music scene as well.
That's
so
great,
yeah, I owe it a massive deal, really.
Yeah. And do you think in the 16 years that you've been in Leeds, have you seen like a huge change? Is there stuff that you can, when you think back?
Yeah. I mean Leeds, because I'm still quite awed by Leeds. I was when I got here. I was awed by Manchester. I was awed by Leeds. I've come from somewhere so small. So in that sense, I've continued to be awed by it. It has changed. It's smartened up quite a lot. But the thing I like about it is there's a lot of civic pride in Leeds. It's quite self-aware as well. That's one thing Manchester wasn't. Manchester took itself very, very seriously.
Do you think that's because of the whole sort of Manchester music scene thing then?
Yeah, there is that, but there was just something about the place, full stop, which was it took itself very, very seriously. It didn't really like being poked fun at all. While Leeds the thing that I really like about people from Leeds is like they will spend ages trying to convince you that like they call a spade, they're god honest, salts of the earth, really straightforward. But like when you get down to it, they're all mental. They're all absolutely mental. And I find that really endearing. I really like that about Leeds.
Yeah, me too. I do too.
Yeah.
So we always ask our guests, what would you say is the best thing about Leeds?
That self-awareness. One of the things I love about it is actually the size. I think it's sort of the perfect size city for me, in that it's big enough to still have mysteries, but it's not so big as it's totally unknowable. Yeah. Like, I know the city really well. Like, being a mental health worker for a long time here, I was all over the place. I was always on the buses as well, so I don't drive, so I know every bloody bus route in this city. And I got to see bits of the city that you wouldn't usually if you were just someone who just moved in, so from that point of view, it's great. There's just such a wealth of different experiences here. It's a really diverse city. And I just find the different areas absolutely fascinating. Like I'm constantly fascinated by the areas that take themselves very seriously, like Chapel Elton, Horsforth.
Yeah.
Horsforth I find hysterical. I've got a friend who lives up there, and he's always sending me screenshots of the local Facebook group up there.
What kind of stuff are they worried about?
It's brilliant. It's always, there's a white Astra van outside our house, and everyone's like, call the police right now. it's absolutely brilliant. And there was a great drama a couple of years ago. Someone had unironically set up a Facebook group called Horsforth Let Down by Leeds.
Are you kidding?
No.
That is just comedy gold.
Yeah, and it was deadly serious, and it was like everyone just sort of chuntering on about like, how dare Leeds be on our doorstep? How dare we be part of Leeds City Council? And how awful are Leeds City Council? So some enterprise in WAG set up a competitor group called Horsforth Let Down by Leeds. And it all descended into bitter acrimony. It was great. And I used to work up in Horsforth. Like our offices were up in Horsforth, and I don't know. There's just something about it which I find really funny. There's so many contradictions there. It's like claims to be a fair trade town, but is yet the smallest village in Britain. It's like, town or village, Horsforth? Which one is it?
Which one do you want to be?
Make your mind up. You can't have it all. You can't have it all. So maybe I'll do a Horsforth poster one day. It's a small market.
You have to, won't you?
It's a small market, but it'd be 50 hours of my time well spent, I guess.
Just to make that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you say is one of the things that's not so great about Leeds?
Right, now, I went on about this last time I was People of Leeds, and it's about the music thing. And Leeds is really good at small scenes. It's really, really good at small underground scenes. It's terrible at taking those scenes any further. And I did the maths. I did the maths on this. I did extensive maths. And basically, the amount of acts that have done well out of Leeds pales into insignificance between pretty much every other UK city.
Yeah, what's that about?
I don't know. I mean, like, you look at Sheffield.
Yeah.
Sheffield absolutely trounces. You look at Bristol. Bristol absolutely have us over a barrel with that. And Manchester, even like really weird places like Brentford and Essex, like just Depeche Mode alone account for like I think 3 times as many records as you can account for people from Leeds selling and things like that. I mean, all we've really got is Mark Ullman, Sisters of Mercy, Mel B, Kaiser Chiefs. Yeah.
But nothing sort of world slamming really.
No, there's been no. And if you look at the ones that have come out, so things like the Sisters of Mercy, that was coming from a small scene. So yeah, good at the real small unit stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why there's never been that ability to take those things a little bit further. Well, I don't think it's an infrastructure problem. You've got the College of Music here. There's some really good studios up here as well.
Yeah, there are.
I don't get it.
Yeah, well, when I was speaking to I don't know if you know Mick McCann. He was a great guest. He was talking about he thinks it's something to do with just like not having the confidence somehow in Leeds. Like that thing about not wanting to shout too much. Yeah,
and maybe that is it. Because they don't have that problem in Manchester.
No.
They really don't at all. But then again, you look at Sheffield, because, Sheffield isn't somewhere that's, like, really up itself or anything like that. It's quite earthy.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
But yet, they banged out Arctic Monkeys, Pulp, Human League, Heaven 17.
I know.
Just even like newer bands like Bring Me the Horizon, who are huge, absolutely enormous, and
yet here we are in Leeds.
Here we are. We've got Leeds Festival. It's not a venue problem anymore because literally we've got all the pieces now. Because like before, there was the thing that we never had like a stage.
Had the big arena.
Yeah, never had that. But we've got that now.
And then they're doing the whole Round Day Park thing all the time now. Aren't they?
Exactly. So there's all that.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
I do think there's a bit of weird, misty-eyed romanticism about some of the venues. Like, let's face it, the Cockpit was really shit.
I never went there once and made the mistake of wearing a red outfit and stuck out like a very sore
Did
thumb.
you?
Yeah.
Did you have a really bad hangover the next day?
I think I did, yeah.
They never cleaned their lines.
Oh, is that why?
you come out of the Cockpit the next morning and you're like, oh, I just want to die.
I wonder if they'll do anything with that building.
I don't know. If they do make it a venue, I hope what they do is the same as they did in Gorilla in Manchester and like box off the arch, because that was the problem. Like the sound was always terrible in there because it was in an arch. But yeah, it would be nice if they did something.
It would be, yeah. Belgrave Music Hall is a good place to go and see bands.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I like Belgrave. I quite like the O2, to be honest. Like the Old Town and Country. I think that's a really decent size as well. I miss Joseph's Well.
Yeah.
That was really good. I went to a gig in the Pack Horse recently, and that's not changed a jot.
No, we were in the Pack Horse a couple of weeks ago, and I like the fact that it just sort of says, instead of paying money for a band practice, we do an open mic night once a week. Just turn up.
I've forgotten as well that, like, because we were there with one of the bands, and the upstairs where they've got that tiny little gig room, there's a massive room given over to the bands. It's huge. It's like it's bigger than my house. And it's like, I don't know, you could do something a bit better with this.
Yeah.
You got the Broodnell as well, and we all love the Broodnell.
Yeah, everybody loves the Broodnell. Yeah, and they I mean, you hear about some great bands going there, don't you? Know, really great wide variety as well of styles and stuff. People always seem to want to play here. We just need to encourage more people to make music from here, I suppose. Yeah,
I am perplexed though. It's not a student thing either, because like Sheffield and Manchester, Bristol, they've all got massive student populations. So
yeah, I mean, there's so many different colleges in Leeds, aren't there?
Yeah, I am.
We need to rally the youth.
Yeah,
that's next. And we always ask our guests, even if you've lived in Leeds for a very long time, can you think of something that is a hidden gem that they might not have heard about?
My hidden gems are, I love Thyroid.
I've not been to Thyroid. I've been swayed by Zap Thai, and I've looked at it across the road, and my friend's like, no, you should be going to Thyroid.
Yeah, you're failing at life, really. To be honest.
I'm failing at life.
It's mega. Like, as I said, like I spent a year in Thailand, and I've never eaten Thai food that tastes as good as that outside Thailand. And it's weird stuff as well. Like, you look at like the washing up bowls they're using, it's the same ones from Thailand. Like,
really?
It's stuff like that. It's BYO, it's really cheap, and they don't try and tart up any of the dishes.
No.
Like, here's the killer tip, right? Number 29 on the menu there.
Yeah.
What is it? It's pad Gratian Thai prig. Basically, it's like Thai hangover food. It's just whatever your meat is or your tofu is with garlic and pepper.
Nice.
And it's like sort of sauce. And like everywhere else tries to like make it like a big affair, you know, tries to put like a cucumber flour on top of one, or what there it's just like get a load of this will sort your hangover out, and it's absolutely banging.
Oh, that sounds great.
Absolutely love that place.
Definitely have to try that.
Yeah. Noodle place as well, round the corner. That's really good for lunch.
Noodle place round the corner.
It's, you know where the Grand is?
Yeah.
And where Mojo and all that are?
Yeah.
Down there. It's a Chinese place that's open during the day.
It. Yeah, I've seen it as I've gone past.
Yeah, that's where I go and get my lunch when I'm in the shop. And that's well good. The whole bottom of the market is really good.
It is really good. I mean, there was a lot of complaints about that, weren't there, when it all started? But
it's great. It's two worlds colliding, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's really funny. I love sitting there, and there's old market looking at new market, and new market looking at old market.
Yeah.
They don't know what to make of each other at all.
You see the people who are out there just like shopping for any old stuff I love just the range of stuff you get in a market.
That's brilliant.
Oh, I love that. And then also you get all those sort of posh people who are coming and, you know, having a business lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that mix. And they're opening a pub in there as well, aren't they?
Apparently. Yeah. I'm really excited for this. I think this could be mega. This could be absolutely mega. This could be the melting pot.
It really could.
That Leeds deserves.
Yeah. Well, I think as long as they just keep it up with the market and don't try and get rid of some of the
That's it. It's a really fine balance they got there.
Yeah.
Having been a mental health worker, you spend a lot of time at the market. It's really weird, actually. It's really weird. One of the things I always noticed was that you get a lot of your clients who would always go to the market because they just, it was what they always did, and they always thought it was really good value. Where actually quite a lot of the cafes down there, you're paying like £7 for for a pretty grotty breakfast, and it's like, you could go to Spoons and get this for even less. But it's weird. It has that
habit.
Yeah, it's got that sort of habit to it.
And just familiar.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know quite a lot of the traders down there, and like the market gossip's always amazing.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, it's always amazing. They always hate the market.
Yeah.
They're always really, really anti the market, like vehemently. There was a great case of Butcher's Row. They moved it.
Yeah.
They were the story I heard is they moved it to hopefully do something to Butcher's Row.
But I heard they were going to make it into hotels.
Oh, really?
That's what I went on one of those heritage tours. That's where I saw your posters in the barbershop.
Oh, right.
And I
had my haircut there today.
Oh, did you drop off a little piece of art?
No, it was a different guy. Actually, like that barbershop's amazing because it's £4.10.
Unbelievable.
It's £4.10 for your haircut.
It's like a £2 for a beard trim or something.
Yeah.
Amazing.
This took 5 minutes.
So good.
With those massive sort of fabric scissors
that they borrowed from other fabric shops.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I heard there was like massive plans for Butcher's Row, and they moved everyone out, but then they found out it was listed and they couldn't do it. Someone better fact check this, because I could be totally wrong. I was told this by a butcher, but they all have an agenda. But there was one butcher who was like, one of those Japanese soldiers at the end of World War II. Who was like, no, I'm not going anywhere. And the council had promised him all sorts of stuff, like, we'll give you a new unit with a new fridge and everything. But he was like holding out for the big payoff. Yeah. And like, I used to walk past him all the time. There was like no one coming to his shop. Like everything had moved on, but he was like, for my cold dead hands, I'm gonna stay here.
So did you eventually you must have got the package you wanted?
I'm not sure. I think the council might have actually waited him out.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a real shame because now it's like the fish aisle and the butcher's aisle are kind of melded together, aren't they?
They are. Yeah, they're all smushed up, and there is kind of a lot of dead space over to the left hand side, which is a shame.
Yeah. Well, I got told that by our guide anyway, so I shall have to take it up with him. Yeah. But yeah, I just worry about that sort of gentrification from that side creeping over too much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to have something big and shiny that I can't afford to shop in. That's nice. It's beautiful architecture. But, yeah, I just think you don't want to make the city too new.
No, absolutely.
It needs to retain character.
And that's another thing I love about Leeds, is it's quite dirty and handsome at the same time.
Yeah, it's a nice mix of both.
It is. It hasn't gone the way of Bradford, where it's like beautiful Victorian architecture next to like just really awful 70s stuff. It is sort of kept quite a nice balance between the two.
It certainly has.
Yeah. That fish market as well, it's dead weird. Like, my dad was up a while back, and like he lives by the sea, and he was like, this is insane.
What type of fish market? In
the amount of fish, the amount.
Oh right, yeah,
the amount of fish, and actually it's really interesting as well. Like particularly with the meat markets and the fish markets, because you look at the fish markets, and they sell things like conger eel there, and like back home, you can't get rid of conger because it's foul. It's really nasty. They're really aggressive fish. Me and my dad caught one once. It was terrifying. I was like 9 or something. Like they're really raggy. It's like on this boat, and this like sea snake came up with like these shark's teeth, and then like the guy who was skippering the boat beat it to death with a rounder's bat. We had to take it home in a shopping trolley. He made curry out of it. Oh, it was rank. It was absolutely rank. But it's really big with the Chinese.
Ah, well, we've got such a huge Chinese community.
Yeah, and that's why you still see tripe on quite a lot of the butchers' stands, because it's really big with some of the African communities as well.
Right,
if you talk to some of the butchers, like the butcher I always go to, always asking about, who's buying what. And
that's a good way of finding out everything that's going on.
Yeah, and he loves it, because actually pretty much every bit of every animal gets used now.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's really off limits.
Yeah, well, I think it's that I think that like a whole fashion change has come with that, hasn't there? I mean, aside from the whole massive vegan thing that's going on, which is great, but that thing about using all the animal, because I think in some ways you're kind of respecting the animal more.
Yeah, totally.
And they're all the cheaper cuts that are actually way more nutritious, but I think we maybe all got put off as children, being given liver at school willy-nilly, cooked really badly.
One thing I discovered up here was savoury ducks. I never heard of them before.
Savoury ducks.
Right, it's like the offcuts. It's all the offcuts that are like sort of collected at the end of the day,
Okay.
put into a bowl with spices and then roasted.
Oh.
And like they're filthy.
I've never heard of
They're
that.
filthy. They're so good.
Is that a Leeds thing then?
No, I think it's just a northern thing. I've never seen them down south. No. There's nothing to do with duck at all. Got nothing to do with duck. But
Don't want anything to do with duck.
They're absolutely filthy. The best.
And can you get those from Leeds Market?
You can get them from Ramsden's up at the top,
yeah.
which is like that fishmonger's right on the corner.
Right.
Sometimes they have a little stand that's open at the side, and you can get the proper dirty stuff there.
I might have to see if I'm feeling brave.
Yeah.
Give it a go.
You'll know it's not good for you, but it is.
Well, it's good for your soul.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming along, Jack. It's been absolutely great talking to you.
Thank you very much.
And I'll put some notes in the podcast notes about where people can find all your wonderful art.
Lovely. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
We'll tell you. Wait a minute.
Jack Hurley was a fabulous guest to have for episode 10. I hope that you enjoyed listening to him as much as I enjoyed talking to him. Do go and check out loudsribs.com and have a look for his various pieces of work in Fabrication in York and in Leeds. Coming up next, we have fresh new music on the Leeds scene. This is their fourth single. The band are called Ava In The Dark and the track is called Talk To Myself. Do remember that if you would like to have your work featured on the Light on Leeds podcast and you've written original songs and you are performing them or are from Leeds, you are very welcome to submit and we'd be very happy to feature them on our episodes. Bye!